I welcome all the crypto enthusiasts for the webinar. I would like to welcome you all to the land of cryptoverse. I'm Rekha Khan, your host for the webinar. And today we have with us Mr. Ajoy, who is a strong advocate for a crypto-driven world, joining us for the webinar today. Today we're going to be talking about how decentralized networks are transforming products we use every day. Ajoy is going to take us through his beautiful presentation. Now that you've joined, you would notice that you are in mute. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please write them on the chat section. At the end of the webinar, we'll hold a Q&A session where all the queries of the participants would be answered by Ajoy. From the creator of Odin, MCX, and IEX, here is yet another credible and exchange-neutral platform a user can rely on while working towards the path of crypto and blockchain understanding. Starting from education to knowledge to all the latest news, all covered under one super app, Crypto Wire. From a novice to a professional trader, every market participant can have a slice of information readily available on the touch of their fingers. Let me first walk you through the world's first crypto university, crypto TV, and crypto wire services. We all know that the crypto and blockchain ecosystem is emerging at an immense speed, and to keep a track of all the events, prices, and news look to be difficult. So what if we have an app like our buddy who works with us, thinks like us, and responds to what we expect? Yes, you heard me right, our own global crypto super app, Crypto Wire. Let me now take you through the app briefly. Let's start with the homepage of the app, which covers all the three pillars: Crypto University, Crypto TV, and Crypto Wire. Under the Crypto Wire services, we have rolled out India's first global index of crypto, IC15. It tracks the performance of the top 15 cryptocurrencies globally based on market capitalization. Crypto enthusiasts and crypto traders can take informed decisions based on IC15. Coming to WireWatch, in this section, we can monitor the best exchange to buy and a best exchange to sell a particular cryptocurrency. In the center of the screen, we can monitor the arbitrage opportunity available between the two exchanges for the same cryptocurrency. There are more than 350 plus cryptocurrencies listed in our platform, along with 70 plus exchanges worldwide. With this, let me take you all through Crypto TV. It's an exclusive 24/7 mobile IPTV covering everything on crypto and blockchain ecosystem. It is currently available in 4 different languages: English, Hindi, Gujarati, and Marathi. Coming to Crypto University, being the world's first digital university to offer courses on crypto and blockchain, you can find the best courses offered by MIT and University of Michigan at a single click of the app. With this, I would like to introduce our first speaker for today, Mr. Ajoy Pathak. Mr. Ajoy is a crypto enthusiast. Ajoy comes with 20 years of rich experience in the field of training, research, and development. Being an early adapter of the new technology, Mr. Ajoy has great expertise in understanding the fundamentals of crypto and blockchain industry. His passion and training has got him a long way. Join me in welcoming Mr. Ajoy for today's webinar. Hi, Ajoy.
So today we have a pretty interesting topic. We want to understand how this entire distributed ledger technology or the decentralized world is changing our lives. It is basically how it is changing the products that we are using, what impact it holds on various things that we do on a normal day, kind of a thing. So let's take a very small snapshot of how blockchain is going to kind of change the ways way we are doing things. So for a brief primer, or what you can say, for a brief lead on into the entire discussion, let me share this with you. When we talk about crypto, we basically are talking about cryptographic proof of transaction, correct? Now, distributed ledger technology, the keywords in these two, in this broad definition, of which blockchain is a small subset, is distributed and ledger. So basically, what we are talking about is a fundamental approach in the change that we keep our ledgers. Okay. Now, why is this ledger thing so important, if you might ask? Very simply put, it is us humans. If you look at any other animals in this whole planet, only the humans you will find are a transacting society. Okay, we kind of regularly hold transactions between ourselves, and we keep on transacting various goods, services between ourselves and other things. Now, uh, these transactions require a record keeping of sorts, because unless and otherwise, what will happen is that if I keep my records and you keep your records individually, now what will happen is that I might put down in my records that today I am transacting with Ruxar something of 100 units, which might actually be 10 units. Okay, so any further day in the day in the future, when we both come compare our records, you will say, Ajay, you gave me only 10. I said, no, I gave you 100, and there's a dispute. So how do we resolve this dispute? For that resolution of the dispute, what we needed to do is that we put a third party in, who is not a part to the transaction, but a third party who was basically trusted by both of us as an overseer to the transaction or a record keeper. So this guy is to be called the trusted third party. Okay. Now, what this trusted third party does is that it charges us a small transaction fee for the services that he's providing to us, and he's keeping the records on our behalf. So tomorrow, if there is a dispute and I approach saying that I have given you 100 units on this and this date, you said, no, that was only 10 units. Fine, let's go to this trusted central third party and resolve our dispute. Now, that's the only way which is available till today to kind of resolve our disputes and other things, whatever we were providing. Correct? Now, a different approach was proposed in 2009, where this trust, this important thing which is brought by this trusted central third party into the entire transaction and the ledger thing, is the trust element. Correct? So we are both trusting him, and we are uh, basically asking him to keep the records on our behalf. Now he started making rules like, okay, you make the transactions in this and this format, only then the transactions will be put into the records and things like that. So eventually he grew to be into a lawmaker. He started making rules and regulations. He started regulating the transactions and all other stuff, and we complied. In 2009, somebody came up. He called himself, or they called themselves, a pseudonym called Satoshi Nakamoto. Said, okay, now people can come together in and engage themselves into a transaction without involving a central trusted third party. That was a huge change in the way that we have been doing things from the start, that from the very start of our societies, of our societal nature and our transacting nature. Now, understand the fundamental shift that was proposed out here. That is essentially the crux to why this thing is so disruptive, or why this thing is kind of so much, I mean, talked about, or regarded as one of the biggest things which is happening into the marketplace today. Trust does not scale up with number of participants coming in. Anthropologically, it has been seen that with communication, with cognitive communication, only about 1,500 people can come together as a society, as a transacting society. But unless and until we institutionalize trust the way we have done in the past, we cannot transact with groups larger than 1,500 individuals. But the world today is like 7 billion people. How, even globally, we can come together and transact things between us? Edible oil is flowing in from Brazil, as far as Brazil and Argentina, from people who we eventually does not even know. We talk to them over the phone, we do a trade, and the import happens. How is this thing happening? How is this thing getting possible? This is getting possible because of this trusted central third parties who are in between. So they are playing a very important role in our society in order to expand the society, but there's a cost attached to it. Now, in 2009, this guy comes forward and says that now this trusted central third party is no longer needed. Why? Has the need for trust gone down into the system by any manner? No. But the trust can now be replaced by an individual or an institution to something which is algorithmically produced, digital in nature, which is cryptographic proof of transaction. Why can you prove? Why can you basically trust a cryptographic proof of transaction? Because it is immutable. Thing is, if a transaction goes on that Ruxar and I are exchanging something of 10 units today, there is no way that anybody in this world can hack into that data and change it to 100 by any form. Therefore, with that kind of an confidence, people can now engage into a trustless society in which trust does not need to be established between individuals before they enter into a transaction. So trustless does not really mean that you do not trust. You do not need to trust between two people before entering into a transaction. So that's a fundamental shift of how things have been doing. Now, this process is basically bringing in a few efficiencies into the system. Let me explain you how these efficiencies are achieved. Let's say, for example, the ledger keeping system, even though it is institutionalized or it is technologically aided by certain advanced technologies like ICT and things like that, is still largely an individualistic process. So there is an element of human involved into this whole thing. Therefore, once we are witnessing the number of people in the globe increasing and the economic activity becoming more and more proliferate, what is happening is that the number of transactions, the sheer number of transactions in this whole world is expanding to unparalleled levels. It is exponentially exploding at this point of time. With digital transactions, more easy transactions, and things like that, the sheer volume of transactions which these institutions need to process is becoming larger and larger with every passing day. Therefore, what is happening is that given the limited human bandwidth these institutions are employing, the demand for services are increasing in a much larger scale than the supply for such services are being provided. So there is a demand supply imbalance which is coming in into the economy at this point of time, making the cost of recording transactions much more higher. And therefore comes the second part of it, second part of our distributed ledger technology, the distributed part of it. In a distributed ledger technology, what is happening is that the message is written down by the transacting parties themselves and broadcast into the network, which then goes in as a ledger entry after verification and validation whether that particular transaction is correct or not. So what is happening is that somewhere the demand for services and the supply of the services which is providing, which is basically the record keeping, are scaling up parallelly. Therefore, there is no such imbalance being caused, thereby keeping the cost of providing this service at a bare minimum. Now, that is the economics of the benefits or the cost of economics of this distributed ledger technology being employed into keeping trustful records or single source of truths over a protocol or a data structure, which can be termed as a blockchain or a directed acyclic graph or whatsoever. The common concept of all these technologies or all these methodologies is to create a ledger which will take the cryptographic proof of transaction as the source of trust apart from a central trusted third party. So now we have a system which is digital in nature, which is algorithmic in nature, and is secured by cryptographic proof of transaction. So cryptographic units like hash algorithms, private key, public key networks, and other things are being employed over here so as to give it a various different kind of functionalities. And these fundamental differences are really changing the way we are doing things all over again. Now, if you have been listening to the current, technology talks and things like that, you would understand one thing, that one buzzword is going around is that is Web 3.0, correct? Now, what is this Web 3.0? We'll have to understand this a little bit more. Now, we have seen that internet that we have had during the 1990s and the internet that we have today have vastly changed over a period of time. After the internet bubble burst, a lot of new things and much more innovative things have come into place to replace the internet 1.0, which we had earlier. This is basically what we typically call as Gartner's adoption curve for any technology. So what happens is that when a new technology comes into the play, then there are a few people who actually understand this technology and how to use it. And then there is a hype which is created around this technology with, people investing into this technology in a big manner, which often ends up being a bubble. Then at certain point of time, rationalization comes into the valuations and there is a bubble burst event which takes place. After the crash, the industry revives again, but at a much more, what do you say, lesser valuation than what the initial bubble achieved. And then it grows substantially, and a lot of innovation occurs during this second rise part of it. This part is typically in Gartner's adoption curve is called as the period of enlightenment, in which common people, and industries and investors, they all come to understand what the technology can do and also what the technology cannot do, kind of fixing a rationalization into what the technology can do or cannot. We have witnessed a similar kind of a bubble being created around the ICOs or initial coin offerings during 2017. We have seen the valuations really go up. Bitcoin prices went up to about $20,000 at that point of time. And then we have seen subsequently it crashed within a very small period of time to about first to $7,000 to then subsequently to about $3,000 per Bitcoin, which was like a huge devaluation in the whole thing. After that, it consolidated from those 3,000 levels to those 7,000 levels, over a period of, let's say about 3-4 years. Now, that period of consolidation is where people started realizing how blockchain can be used, how decentralized computation and decentralized ledger technology can actually be used and applied into our daily lives. And this is what we have today at present with us. This picture that you can see on the screen over here are the various use cases which actually evolved and got emphasized into those areas using blockchain over here. Let me quickly take you through some of the things that's showcased out here. Now, some of the use cases are basically because this is creating an immutable proof of transaction or an immutable or unhackable kind of an what do you say, a unique element. Okay, this could very well be used to employ it for proof of ownership. Let's say, for example, there is some asset and you create a digital entity of that particular asset, and that digital entity is now held by you in your wallet. A wallet is a public key, private key, cryptographic protocol which gives you the right to transfer. So basically, the wallet owner is the only person who's got the right to transfer. And there, the Web 3.0 implications do come in, kick into the play. Over here, what is happening in Web 1.0, where we started this whole discussion, we saw that there was Yahoo, there was Netscape, there was MSN. You remember all those days when there was like Wikipedia and we couldn't edit even the Wikipedia, whatever was being, it was just a one-way traffic, those static websites were there and we used to visit those websites and we used to read about that. So companies created their website and we used to go read about us, about the team and things like that. They were seldom updated. So, and those things were happening. So there was no interaction. It was just, we type the browser name, we go to internet browser, type the website address, www this thing. We go read, collect information, take our notes, and go back to our real notes. That was Web 1.0. Then came Facebook. Now, Facebook, they started putting up a wall. And that was the start of Web 2.0, where basically, even if I go to www.facebook.com and you go to www.facebook.com, we wouldn't be seeing the same pages. We'd be seeing different contents altogether. So there was a concept of a dynamic content and people creating their own content and sharing that with a limited number of group of people started evolving. That was Web 2.0, in which the consumer can also write. He also became a content creator, and those web pages were not really those static elements in which everyone goes to the same website and sees the same thing all over again. So that concept changed. Then started, well, with this kind of a thing, can we integrate some payment systems into the solution, the commercialization of things? Yes, we can. Can we develop an e-commerce platform over there? Yes, we can. So there were some secure payment solutions where you can put in your credit card, your debit card. Then it evolved into some, Paytm wallets, and all these things. The payment industry went through, e-commerce proliferated. So that was Web 2.0. Whereas the content creation was, although being done by the people who were visiting that, the actual owners of that content remained the servers who were controlling these web pages. Okay, so they could censor you, they could collect your data. And nowadays, if you go to YouTube and if you're browsing through some of the videos, you will see there's some smart suggestions which keeps on coming to whatever you see. So basically, what is happening? Your digital record is somewhere being mapped, and it is being analyzed with an AI system inbuilt, and your preferences or what you like or what you do not like are being judged, and similar kind of an content is being suggested to you. Okay, and you'll find that pretty often in YouTube or Facebook or whatsoever social media that you go, that you get suggested content coming and hitting you. Now, this somewhere is saying that my data somewhere is being read, analyzed, and suggestions being made. Now, this also, it has been proven that there are some data which are being shared also without your consent, without your knowledge, to some people who can now target you as consumers and keep on showcasing their ads. And that is what you will also find in YouTube ads that are coming. I mean, in YouTube, it is very much boring. Uh, they have seen that most of my Google searches are all about blockchain, DLT, Web 3.0, and things like that. So the only ad nowadays that I am seeing is Great Learning, and IIT Madras is offering some blockchain course.
Yeah. Yeah. Even
So
whenever I Google, I mostly see the same content. Like I get courses on
yeah.
blockchain and yeah.
I keep on seeing the same things. That's in a way it is very much boring because they are not showing me the other ads which are going around. Nicer ads which are going around. They're just not showing those things to me. But in a way, that's also kind of making me scary that somewhere somebody is tracking whatever I'm doing, and it is selling it to Great Learning or something, so that okay, this guy is interested in blockchain. 80% of the searches that he makes over there is blockchain related, so keep on sending him IIT Madras and I am Calcutta, blockchain courses ads.
Right.
Okay, so that's scary. But Web 3.0 is the place where all this thing is going to change, kind of a thing, because your data, you will be the owner of that particular data, and you will get to decide whom to share with and how much to share with. Not your entire data. You might be willing to share only a small part of it, small portion of it, and things like that. So this is the difference between Web 2.0 and Web 3.0, that although you become the content creator, you get the ownership of the data also. And now this is actually what is happening in a lot of websites. If you go to some of the websites like mirror.xyz, you will find that it is a Web 3.0 content development website wherein you can develop any content of yours and you can advertise it. If there is somebody who is coming to look at your content, if you want to monetize it, you can monetize it, and they will make some micro payments to you. Now that is I mean, beautiful concept. Now why I'm saying is so that I have a Netflix account. Okay, I pay something around 800 rupees or 900 rupees every month to view that. Unfortunately, the fact of the matter is that I seldom get any time to view any of the content, apart from some of the Saturdays and Sundays, in which I also fall asleep quite often. So my Netflix goes mostly unused. Some of my friends do, take my Netflix subscription and watch throughout the week. Now, there is an interesting study in the media which said that what is happening in this entire media and publication industry in the US, that only about 12% of the price which the consumers are paying is being transmitted to the actual content creators. Now, creation is something which is making the whole thing attractive. It is not the content distribution, which is basically the value adding, correct? Now, if I want to enjoy a movie, I'll be enjoying a movie because of its content, less because of which platform it is available on. Today, if I want to watch a movie like what's going on, RRR, okay, that's one of the latest movies which is going on, correct? Now, if I have to watch RRR, I go and find out which OTT platform has RRR. I do not pay for the OTT platform just because it is there. I pay for the OTT platform because it has got the rights for the movie RRR. So the content creator of RRR is the actual demand point of mine, but I'm ending up paying the OTT, and I'm paying 100%, of which he is retaining 82%, and passing only to 88% is being retained by him, and 12% is only being passed on to the content creator. Now that is something which is I mean, it is not really fostering content creation or innovation, or basically you say, what would you say, it's not really fostering in an environment in which much content creators would be encouraged. In a way, I'll be more encouraging opening up an OTT platform rather than content creation, right? Because the more money lies there. This is the Web 2.0 format. In Web 3.0, this is going to change. Now, I will be having pay-per-use. As a consumer of Netflix, I will be very much happy. So I don't need to pay a fixed sum without using it every time. I will be paying whenever I'm getting to use it. So my impact cost for entertainment will come down significantly. And the payments which I will be making is also very much lower in number. Not only lower in number, but also lower in value. So if I need to see a movie once, I will pay it once. And I will be giving a small portion of fee to the content, this platform, and most of the spending of mine will be going to the content creator. That's Web 3.0, in which the content creator will be much more enabled and rewarded, providing a lower cost to the consumer, and the entire effort of content creation will be much more financially encouraged, correct? And this is what we are seeing happening in content creating platforms, which has been recently launched on Solana, like Gari. This is what is happening. There's a small platform fee, but most of the payment or the micro payment which the consumer is making is going to the content creator. So this is something which can be achieved over here. Again, in among other things, the way we are seeing this technology is transforming our lives. First thing comes that we see proof of ownership. Second thing is that we are seeing that authenticity for any particular thing is increasing in a much more way. So this is also enabling authenticity of a review through trustworthy endorsements for an employee or peer review or something like that. So falsification of data or falsified claims can be actually curbed out. So that could really go a very long way in creating an much trusted environment in which people or organizations and other things are not really scammed or taken for a ride, and actual value can be realized. Okay, then there could be prediction platforms in which people come together, uh, put in their ideas, opinions, and make a prediction or gamification whatsoever. Okay, then there could be healthcare applications, patient records, uh, ownership of digital content, digitization or improving the anti-counterfeit measures for digital assets and other things. Then there is a whole concept of digital identity where your wallet becomes your identity proof. Okay, today Aadhaar is our identity proof, but still it is not really an identity proof. And KYC is a concept which is like know your customer is a concept which does not really help much, because your consumer or your customer is better known through his behavior or his transactions, correct? So the KYC is gradually changing into KYT, or know your transactions. Okay, so these things are happening through these digital records and blockchain and stuff like that. Digital identity plays a huge role in establishing whatever you are doing in the digital realm. Okay, it gives you control of the content, but it also makes you responsible for your actions. So if you are engaging into some kind of an fraudulent activity, or an uh, anti-societal activities and things like that, then that ownership remains with you. And that could also be the cases wherein all these anti-social activities and other things could be easily tracked down and personified. Okay, rather than masked events on web 2.0, wherein it's a platform which owns the data and things like that, and there's a lot of mass communication which happens between individuals can take place. We have heard about some terror outfit recruitments through Facebook and other things happening. These things will be stopped in web 3.0 when it becomes totally your digital identity uh, based activities world over. Okay, so this could be one of the solutions to one of the big problems that we are facing, or web 2.0 faces. It enables authenticity again of any review. Decentralized internet and computing resources to every home and businesses could be provided. Digitized company incorporations, transfer of equity ownership and governance can be executed over here. Smart contract, IT portal, executing order fulfillment, e-commerce and manufacturing. All these things will be impacted. Now, again, escrow, custodian services, providing digital identity that protects consumer privacy is something that we have been talking about a little bit. Decentralized Internet of Things. So this is one thing which is also going to come into play very soon. We are seeing IoT and IoV, Internet of Things, and Internet of Vehicles also coming in a much prominent way in our world, in our digital worlds nowadays. Correct. So basically, we are seeing driverless cars, cars communicating with other cars on the road, so as to reduce, accident impact and things like that. We are also seeing smart homes coming to play, where the fridge talks to the computer and places orders for carrots on your nearest grocery store. And when there is a drop ship which is happening on your location, it is paying through your digital wallets and things like that. So things like refrigerators, doors, exercise equipment, your handhelds, wearables, all getting smarter and communicating between each other. Now, where is all these transactions or this record of communications going to be held? somewhere which has to be non-human in nature, right? So that decentralized consensus or a DLT comes into play at that point of time. Okay. Again, digitization of documents, contracts, proof of ownership for transfers. So you see this secure authenticity and all these things will be kind of revolving among all the blockchain use cases that we see. Now, again, let me just take you through some of the use cases in in what we are seeing, what we are talking about. One first and very much important is proof of ownership, and this is the whole basis of basically the Web 3.0 and the NFTs which come into play at this point of time. The public key, private key that we have briefly discussed about already. Then there are these unique digital assets, the non-fungible tokens, and that can be held by entities as collectibles and things like that. And this will become a very, very important thing in the future, the NFTs and the private ownership of these NFTs and the value which is being imposed to that, okay, and then transfers to that or micro payments related to these NFTs and things like that. This will become a huge, huge marketplace in the coming future. Now, again, tokenization of digital assets. So basically, if you, let's say, for example, if today most of the assets that we have, their monetization of these assets is a very difficult thing. Correct. Let's say, for example, I have a house of which I have full ownership, but I don't want to have full ownership of that house. Okay, it might be very costly for me. So I could rent a portion out of it, but then I could own that place, or I could, let's say, for example, devise a situation in which I rent out half of that place, but want half of the investment which is being made for that place come in from different sources. So what I basically do, I see a raised hand. So can we take questions now or later? We can make this interactive if you want.
Yeah, we can, but I think they will have to type it in the chat box.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Sujata ji, you can type the question in the chat box.
Okay, so what I was talking about is, let's say half of the villa is then tokenized into a digital asset. Okay, and then I can create, like, say, 100 different tokens of that particular asset and sell it to 100 different people, so that my impact cost is also low. I am having a larger investor base of 100 people. The rental income which I'll be getting from that let out place could be then worked out into a smart contracts, which kind of distributes that rental income into these 100 people and generates a cash flow for them. So that becomes an investment for them, and this becomes an asset for me as well. Okay, so this ownership can be partially transferred if tokenized. So that will represent a better utilization of the asset, capacity utilization of the assets that we have in position today. Most of the assets, if you see worldwide, there's a big problem that asset utilization, the capacity utilization of assets have actually dropped from about 90% 20 years earlier to about 60 to 75% today. And a lot of NPAs are also going around. So what do you do with those non-performing assets and things like that? So this is the digital economy can provide a solution to asset monetization in a particular way if implemented correctly, with a custodian kept in between, with the correct regulations in place and things like that. And some of the companies which are already doing that are listed on the site. So you can take a note of that and you can go and see some of the interesting use cases you will find for all these particular things. Then second thing, like I said, is distributed ledger technology, and ledger is such an important thing for us human beings, for being us in the society, that we are, if you think of it in this way, that we are nothing but the ledger entries that that we represent, or that represents us in different ledgers that are being kept. So right from our birth to the death, there are two different ledgers, the birth record and the death record, wherein we become entries. And in between, whatever we do, right from getting admission into a school, scoring certain marks, passing out of a college, entering our first job, getting our salaries into some bank accounts, the assets that we are purchasing, the assets that we are selling, the wills and endorsements that we are doing, our earnings, our spendings, everything is ledger. So we are a culmination of all the ledgers that has been created and kept in our names. Similarly, birth and death certificates are also two crucial ledger entries which is happening, and these are also now linked with your digital identity and put into records over there. Then blockchain as a service is something which is actually transforming our lives in a big manner. uh, you might not be noticing it prominently because these things are happening in the back end mostly. And I can give you one small example is if you have undertaken your double vaccination, I hope you have, you must have received a universal pass from the government of Maharashtra, correct?
Right.
In
Yes.
that universal pass, you can see a small QR code. Please read what is written under the QR code. What is written in the QR code is as simple as that this QR code represents the entry into of this health record entry into the DMRR blockchain. Now, DMRR blockchain is a blockchain which is implemented by the Ministry of Health Records of Government of Maharashtra, and they have put all double vaccinated, records into a blockchain, which then becomes immutable, and you will find your records over there. So basically, what is happening is that if I take somebody else's universal pass and put my picture onto it, create another copy of it, and walk into the airport, they might just scan the QR code and then kick me out of it, saying that, okay, your QR code doesn't represent, the picture that is there in the blockchain. So there is a proof of authenticity. Your healthcare records, your different this vaccination certificates or whatever you have and things like that can become your proof of records. And blockchain as a service can be offered to a lot of areas, and this is being done at present. And this obviously does not really come onto the forefront, but it's powering the backend with authenticity, with immutability, and this is coming up as a prominent play. And this will be implemented in various other things, like, let's say, for example, our land registry records, our tax payments, our income statements, and so on and so forth, creating a much safer and better environment in which uh, spurious activities could be curbed down, and we get a much better and transparent and clearer economy. Then, like I was saying, compliance and security. Now, because this is creating an immutable record somewhere in the back end, this is very much implemented in compliance and security of things. Okay. Therefore, the spuriousness or the fraudulent activities can be put at a minimum, and this is going to help in the regulation technology in a big manner. So even the regulators are better off in actually adopting it. Then content management and distribution is also going to be facilitated in a big way, because the content creators will now be facilitated with much better offerings, and this will help in basically creating a creators economy around, and is going to help in a big way. So is going to help in data management and data integrity and security. Digital identity, identification, and authentication is something which we have talked about greatly today, so I'm not really repeating myself over here. Third, ninth, this technology is going to implement it in a way of decentralized social networks in which, content censorship and other things will not be there, and therefore we get a much more decentralized view of whatever is going on. Okay. Then asset consortium can be created, creating various efficiencies, operational efficiencies and cost efficiencies across. One example is Everledger, which is bringing the entire diamond market as a consortium onto blockchain, and making provenance of ownership of diamonds linked with your digital identity. So basically, if somebody has stolen your diamond, is trying to sell it, he won't be able to. Good news, right? Energy, a lot of things is happening in energy, rewarding energy efficiency, renewable energies in energy distribution, micro usage, micro payments, and efficient usage and regeneration of renewable energy benefits. So these are some of the things: energy blockchain labs, grid singularity, and transactive grid by Elo3. These are some of the blockchain projects which is really transforming the energy distribution and generation markets world over. And a lot of work is happening in enterprise grade infrastructure development, which is basically saying that I am now implementing blockchain in my business. Okay, like Walmart, they have implemented, their entire supply chain management has now been and blockchain efficient and enabled supply chain, uh, catering to the large number of suppliers they have, and the large number of retail stores they need to fill. They have doing huge amount of cost savings, running into millions of dollars per year, just by the use of blockchain technology over there. And these are not cryptocurrency based systems, these are cryptocurrency free systems, blockchain which does not involve a cryptocurrency in between. E-voting and governance. Now, this is something which is happening with digital identity. One of the best examples and use cases is Estonia. The entire Estonian government and its digital offerings is something which needs to be studied by the whole world and different jurisdictions, and could be implemented. Uh, Blockchain and other things are coming into sports also, gaming, gambling, all these areas are being affected, and new capabilities, technologies, and much more security and authenticity are being governed over there. Not only that, the participants to these areas, they are participating with much more confidence, and also the platforms are now much more transparent with authentic data records and other things. Therefore, tax collection by the jurisdictions we are providing such platforms to the commoners is also becoming much more streamlined. Uh, Governance and organizational governance is something which can be decentralized now with DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, and other things. And some of entirely smart contract based governance or community governed organizations are coming into perspective. Now, this is something which is going to decentralize the entire particular industry service provision, and certain services like consultancy and other things can now be crowd sourced, which essentially means that collective intelligence can now be uh, put into a platform which does not kind of suffer from institutional governance or institutional directives to lead the particular flow of intelligence or flow of recommendations in a particular manner. So this is one of the huge takes which is happening, and the real industry experts can be brought into the platform, and services can be offered one-on-one or in a group and in consortium and things like that. So it's going to change the way. Let's say, for example, we are looking at, let's say a poor farmer, he approaches a bench or what is happening today is that if there is a disease or pest infestation, a person who does not has the kind of resources to approach a learned state agricultural university or a learned research platform has to consult with somebody, let's say, for example, the dealer in a dealer of a certain pesticide in its region for a solution to his problem, correct? So what would the dealer do? He will try to sell him the best margin product that he is having in store. Now the reliability suffers over there, and sometimes the actual solution is not reached out. But if there is a decentralized platform of experts which is being provided to this particular person or the farmer, he could approach them with this problem, get a solution. It's like a therapeutic solution to the problem it is getting a prescription and then approaching the dealer, he give me this medicine. I think it's a much better system to follow than what is being followed at this point of time. So these are some of the efficiencies that we will be seeing. We talked about IoT, Internet of Things, and Internet of Vehicles. We talked about authenticity and bringing those things in the job market. So the job market is also going to be really rationalized, in which, I mean, there will be authentic certificates which could be verifiable on the blockchain, and so we know people, and their service records could also be put into blockchain, and that could be verifiable. So all the false resumes and the false LinkedIn profiles could go away, and people can be hired with much more confidence by people. So all the background checks and compliance and regulatory and things like that, those cost savings that would result in a huge cost savings for the institutions also, and for the correct candidates also, because then the fear from spurious candidates will be taken away. There could be other various use cases like land registries, licensing, media, mining, network infrastructure. Open organizations could be created in which people come and participate with will, get paid as per their efforts are, and things like that. Distributed operating systems can be built in which various functions like cloud storage or computation or a data processing and things can be coordinated in a peer-to-peer network or an environment, supported with cryptographic proof of whatever effort is being taken into. It could be brought into real estate so as to basically authenticate things about ownership, users' rights, and things like that. Reputation verification and ranking is also very much important, basically into the experts market or the job market kind of a thing. There could be some shared resources in a local environment also, or in a digital environment also, depending upon the fungibility of that particular asset which needs to be shared. It has got its benefit in supply chain management, which is transforming production lines and bringing down the cost of production. So everyday daily use objects and their prices could also be impacted in a big fashion. And it is making the global trade and trade finance much more risk-free and predictable, bringing cost efficiencies and operational efficiencies, so that things are available at a cheaper cost, scheduling and operations are handled in a better fashion, and overall the cost of production comes down. So the consumers at the end of the day are the ones who can reap the benefits from these improved efficiency systems. So that's all about it, how this DLT is going to transform our lives. I hope we can now move on to some of the questions and answers, and we can take them. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Ajoy. So with the raise of the hand, there was one question, which is, as we know, the partial ownership can be transferred in normal economy as well as in many countries, including India. So the partial ownership does not appear to be a significant advantage of tokenization. What is it that you would suggest on this?
I would suggest that, okay, I can now become partial ownership with any Indian resident, and I'll have to go and find in an Indian resident who is willing to participate into that area with that particular scheme. In a digital economy, I could be a co-owner with an African, with an Hawaiian, with an Japanese, with an Hong Kongian, and an Australian also. So they wouldn't mind. So basically what I'm saying is that I am not only increasing my investor base, I am making my investor base global. And anybody, everyone who is participating into this digital environment can come and participate without having to establish trust with me. And this really takes the the entire effort of finding out a particular partner for this kind of shared ownership and things like that, in a much larger scale, at a global scale, and with much more confidence.
Cool. Thank you. There are a couple of more questions which have come in, but I think most of the questions you've kind of covered in your presentation. But I'll still take one or two, which I feel can be reinstated, basically. So, how does decentralization help the local people?
Like I said, is that I mean, unknowingly we suffer a lot of inefficiencies and spurious elements that come in and affect us in a way or so. For example, let's say insurance. Okay, insurance is one concept which resides on the regime of Uberima Vitae. Uberima Vitae is a Latin term which means that in good faith, in which the insurance company is willing to cover the risk event, saying that the customer will be sharing all the relevant information with him in good faith.
Right.
But in actual case, what is happening? I mean, I have got many friends in the actuarial departments and things like that. When they tend to calculate the risk events and tend to calculate the risk premium out of it, they always take into consideration that all the information which will be provided by the customer will be wrong. So what is happening is that the risk premium is higher, and this works as a premium redistribution among the entire community which is participating into that insurance process. Therefore, cost of insurance to every consumer is naturally high because the healthcare records are not correct or not complete and things like that. If such records with your digital identity are put in blockchain, the insurance company will have more confidence of going and insuring you with all the information available to him. So this will drastically bring down the risk premium which they are putting onto the insurance products, and insurance will be available much more cheaply. Now imagine foreign country like India, where the insurance penetration is only 2.8 to 3% of the total population, how impactful this thing could be. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. The last question that we'll be taking is what are the negative effects of decentralization?
Negative efforts of decentralization. No, that you're asking somebody
After
who
so
is.
much of positivity, there are people who are asking me what are the negative effects of decentralization.
Now, the negative effects of decentralization is that, or I would say that it will be overcome with time. It does not has an immediate solution. Now, let's say, for example, all these big platforms, these Web 2.0 platforms like Google, Facebook, and all these things, they have got their own creator economy. They have got the investment capability today, which an individual participant does not. So if we are trying to create something as an content generator today, individuals will always face the resource constraint, which will not be faced by this already established corporations. But obviously, they will be willing to spend it only if they can extract some value out of it. So the initial development of this, whatever you call the metaverse or this entire thing in an open platform, would be very much pocketed, very much, I mean, small pockets of developments will be there. It will not be that rich it will not be that investment heavy, and rich experience would not be there, and things like that. So this is one stifling thing for this entire creator economy to begin with. So this is something which we will all suffer to start off with, but eventually at a point of time when the social adoption of this thing is proliferated at an extent in which decentralized platforms do come in and play a huge role and become larger than the existing big corporations and their investment values, these things will solve them. But there's still a significant amount of time which is there when such an adoption will come, and this entire economic playing field will kind of shift towards the much more decentralized environment rather than the centralized environment, which is now.
True. Thank you so much, Joy. That was an interesting session.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and good evening to all of you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so much. Yeah, bye. I would like to thank all the wonderful audience who've shown interest to learn and make informed decisions in the crypto market. I would request all of you to please download the CryptoWire app if not done already and be a part of the global learning. We request all of you to please share your valuable feedbacks on the session. This helps us enhance the sessions better. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.